Welcome back to the West Ham Network for a bit of analysis on the result and game yesterday where West Ham took on Chelsea at Stamford Bridge and got beat 2-1, unfortunately. And really, you could say you were beaten by the referee and the officials. VAR played a big part in the game. Massively disappointing, really disappointing. But I want to kind of dissect away from that a little bit, and we'll come back onto VAR in the end. This is a show that, I'm going to run with quite regular to let you know my opinion on the game and what I can take from it and what I think I can see moving forward, if there are any positives to take from it, or will there be any negatives that we take from the game. But as a whole, of course, there's no ifs or buts about it. It's disappointing to think that our decision that's made by an official be so wrong and cost West Ham a point minimum and give the opposition team the 3 points, which is of course dramatic. Now, there's going to be some individual stats in this here, and there's going to be a bit of analysis on the game. So let's just get right in there with the first page here. So now I've taken a snippet from the game against Chelsea, and you can see now, this is as you can see in the 5th minute, the game's 0-0. The first half was nothing to write about, but the difference in this game with an abundance is the fact that you can see that West Ham aren't pressing as high as we were in the game against Tottenham. And that is something that I find that when we go to opposition teams, that we really lack in the fight and determination to get forward. I don't know why sometimes that we sit so far back in our own park. And this is another example of that. You can see Antonio now is through the middle there. But look here, we've got all 11 men behind the centre circle. Now, I get that we've not progressed here, and I'm going to show you a clip again. This is us just starting the press now, but we're starting to press on the centre circle. And for me, that doesn't give that opposition team any problems or to cause them problems. However, let's flick back to the Tottenham game. Look at the high press. And we were doing it the whole game, and people might say, it wasn't the brightest of games. I thought West Ham came into our own in the second half. But from the minute one, we killed the high press and forced Tottenham into errors. I understand that we have to be kind of reasonably different for different games, but Tottenham were there for the taking. We've done it several times. Look at our players progressing forward. I get it. I get their defence have the ball, but there were several occasions yesterday against Chelsea that we lacked the urgency to push forward on the park, on the front foot, and challenge them in their own territory, on their own half. I had noticed against Tottenham that when they had the ball in their own half, that we kind of, shielded all of our players shielded our half. And then as they were starting to come across the line, they were pressing really fast. But yesterday, the press was a lot slower and a lot different. And in actual fact, sat back, inviting a bit of the pressure on, which is really, really frustrating to watch. And sometimes I think to myself, just go for it, West Ham. And I think we would love sometimes to see if we go for it, but we sometimes sit here, don't play the game, think we know it all, and in actual fact we don't. But I just wonder why managers sit back and don't go at them like what maybe Southampton did against Chelsea, albeit on home territory. But we know Chelsea can bite. We know teams can work on the offensive. We know they can go at teams from the break, and that's sometimes what they want. But I feel like we've got the capabilities to progress forward and do that. And here's another example of urgency that I've noticed a lot this season in particular. This is an attack from Chelsea, and you can see Declan Rice just literally on the penalty spot. But this ball is actually coming back towards Declan Rice, and he's in a kind of standing position. Now, I'm not solely digging him out individually. I'm just merely stating the fact of urgency. Where is the urgency from West Ham to push and get that ball and win that ball? Because in actual fact, this shot that comes off goes wide, but it should never have got off because that ball is coming back the way, and we should be on our toes ready to snatch up that opportunity. That is very frustrating. However, of course, West Ham did go ahead in the game thanks to a Mickey Antonio tap-in, you could say. Now, great. I think I've noticed something else this season that Antonio, 9 times out of 10, has never been standing on a goalkeeper, But this game in particular, you can see here, look at him. He's standing on Mendy. He's putting the pressure on him. And that is causing him concern. You've got the kind of train line effect of players. You've got Kira, you've got Zuma, you've got Declan Rice. I think you've got Tommy Soucek. Sorry, he's at the front post as well. And as the ball gets crossed in, it's great. The ball flicks to the back post. Everyone's in melee. Kira's ran through. Declan Rice plays the ball through to Antonio for him just to tap the ball into the back of the net. Good progressive football. Yes, it's come from a set piece, and it shows people that we can be dangerous in a set piece, and that's what we need to do more often than not. And that is a confidence boost for Antonio. However, I do think that Antonio did play with his back to goal and no urgency to get forward. I think he did enough running. He did do some running, a lot of running, I suppose you could say, because he was really that only man up top with no options for him. But that's something that we need to change, especially against the so-called top four, and push forward as we can. And you've got to give credit where credit's due. You know, this opportunity here was actually awarded to be offside. Now, it's just giving you an example. This is the sort of play that Antonio needs to do. West Ham are 1-0 up, and he needs to do this a little bit more often rather than being as static. This is what Scamacca brings to his game, but this is what I think will benefit Antonio, is having a player who's a natural born striker with the ability to get forward and progress. It's all about progressive football. That's all we talk about, is progressive football rather than regressive football, playing the ball back. And making these sort of runs is an invite to our creative players to play the ball in front of them. Now, they did play the ball in front of them and he was awarded an offside, but you would be able to forgive him if he made a lot more of those runs in the games all of the time, which of course would benefit West Ham dramatically. Now, for the equaliser, this is unfortunate, and this is just a little example that I've noticed in particular about opposition teams picking our pockets at the back of the line, because we sometimes play with a high press of defence, or we play with a back three and two wing backs. But I think what we've noticed here is just a little lapse of concentration between Sefao and Kira, and I've noticed it a few times this season, but I'm not necessarily saying or trying to point fingers at individual players. However, I think here, the overlapping runner, that Sefao should be on him, and if he's not on him, he's passing him to Kira. So Kira has to adjust, and to be fair to Chilwell, it's a bit of a freak ball the way when he takes his first touch and it lands in front of him. But Kira and Sefao should really be in unison here, communicating, talking. One man stays with the runner, because what actually happens is the two of them borderline collide. They borderline collide, as you can see here, as Chilwell makes his move through and Fabianski and Zuma are starting to close him down. Kira and Sefao are in that position to, you know, like borderline collision with each other. And really, in my opinion, at this stage, they should be communicating a lot better. One of them should have followed Chilwell the whole way and allowing the other one to cover the runner. And I think that really would potentially help West Ham as well. But I think that's just a lapse of concentration, new players coming in, and things like that can change moving forwards, and fingers crossed it can get a little bit better. Here's an example of when backs against the wall, West Ham are 1-0, and we make a substitution, and we make a forward, and we make a confident substitution, a progressive substitution. And what I will say to you is Max Cornet came on the park, and for me, he really did make a bit of a difference. His shape, his positioning was fantastic. He actually made this opportunity. This was when Max Cornet hit the post from the header. So just before this ball was played through to Benrahma, it was actually Max Cornet played that ball to Benrahma from pretty much the edge of the box. But look at his urgency to get in behind the defender. And that's exactly where he went to when he hit the post. And it was unfortunate, a really unfortunate opportunity, but it was progressive style football. Benrahma's crossed the ball in. Look at Emerson. He's on the edge of the box. Look at Bowen. He's in the 6-yard box. Look at Tommy Soucek. He's progressing forward. Unfortunately, Tommy Soucek couldn't get to it, and there was a Chelsea player there to be able to put that and clear that ball. But it was a good play, good, nice bit of play, of urgent play from Max Cornet with great progressive running, no back to goal, on his toes, moving forward. Again, and then this is an example of lack of concentration in the back line. And again, I'm not digging him out individually, but I'm pulling up a little bit here on Declan Rice, because Declan Rice is standing static. Now, fair play to Broja and the other player there who was supporting him down the left-hand side. But Sefao is left with two men. He is left with 2 men. So what else can Sufal do? He's marking one. Someone's going to make the progressive run, which they do, and they are giving the opportunity to get the ball back. But the issue you've got here is if the player chooses not to ping that ball across the box, he can then play the ball back to Broja, who's not even marked. He's inside the 18-yard box, completely unmarked. My other concern is, look at the back post, number 24, unmarked. But the thing is, the ball goes to a player in a section where there are 3 defenders against 2 Chelsea players, and we should be doing a lot better. And yeah, I get it. Ogbonna's just come back from his injury, but he should not let that player get in front of him. He should not, by an abundance, he should do the strength a bit more. He should be more in front of the player. He should not let that player get in front of him. It's easy for me to sit here and say this. Of course it is. I don't play professional football, but I'm just giving you an opinion and showing you the game in a bit more of a different opinion as well. But then, you know, the final incident comes into the game. The ball gets played back in the path of JARROD Bowen from the Chelsea defender. The ball goes in and Max Cornet collects the ball, puts it into the back of the net. Again, something else that I really love about this play is, look where Max Cornet is. Look where he is. He's progressively moving forward and he's on his toes and he is constantly thinking forward. Him and JARROD Bowen are like springing at it even more than the Chelsea defenders are. And then he collects the ball, moves over to the right and pings it past 3 Chelsea defenders, no problem, into the top corner. So it was a great goal that should never, ever, ever have been disallowed for something so ridiculous like this. But we've already spoken a lot about it, so I'm not going to go over it again. However, there are a couple of other incidents in the game. Something I would like to bring up is the Loftus-Cheek elbow on Antonio. Just before you see this, he turns around and finds out where Antonio is before he lays his arm right all over Antonio's face. Ridiculous decision not to pull up anything there. And of course, this incident with Reece James on Antonio, where he saw him and he put his studs into him. Absolutely ridiculous. There you go, check-in club badge. You can't help but think that is something that does go on in the modern day football. I'm going to go through some individual players, those stats, and how they set up and how they played. I'm really impressed with Kira and Zuma's performances. I think they're starting to build up a nice bit of partnership. Here's his heat map from the Chelsea game. You can see him completely controlling that whole right-hand side. He had an 81% pass completion with 49 touches. He had 50% long ball accuracy. He made 3 clearances with 1 interception. And his partner in crime, 81% pass completion, 52 touches, 100% aerial duels won. Nobody was winning the ball off Kurt Zouma yesterday. 1 interception and 12 clearances as well, stepping up to the plate when need be. Now, another player, and the 2 players I want to give reasonable amount of credit to, is Declan Rice and Tommy Soucek. You know, as of late, especially from the Brighton game, they lost possession a lot of times, 32 times collectively between them, but they've shut up shop a little bit in that middle of the park, and just a few lapses of concentration. And if we can tie those bits of lapse of concentration up, then I think we can really nullify a threat coming forward. But he's got 84% pass completion, 55 touches, 50% long ball accuracy, 5 out of 6 ground duels won, 2 clearances, 5 interceptions, 3 tackles, and 9 times he lost possession in the game, compared to his fellow partner, Tommy Soucek, 76% pass completion, 30 touches, 100% long ball accuracy, 50% ground duels won, 3 out of 5 aerial duels won, 5 times he lost possession, 3 clearances, 1 block shot, and 1 interception. Key element here, something I want to say, 9 times he lost possession, 5 times he lost possession, 14 times. So they're not having anything close to the Brighton game. West Ham midfield are starting to step up to the plate. Like I said, just a few lapses of concentration, and we can then hopefully get points on the board. Another massive shout out, though, to one player that I didn't expect to put in the work rate that he does, and this is this guy, Lucas Paqueta. 83% pass completion, 47 touches, 2 out of 3 successful dribbles. But look at these stats. 6 out of 10 ground duels won, 1 out of 3 aerial duels won, 4 clearances, 1 block shot, 2 interceptions, an all-round midfield performance. Look at his heat map. He was bloody everywhere, and he's got no fear about him at all, and I think he is only but going to come good in a West Ham shirt. He massively excites me, as he does with other fans. Another player, though, that people think there's room for improvement is JARROD Bowen. He had an 82% pass completion. And, you know, people questioned it, but he did. He got 100% successful dribbles. He was 6 out of 9 ground duels won, 1 out of 4 successful crosses, which is something that he was good at really progressive at last year, but is really struggling with this year, and 1 interception. And I think if he can just get those balls into the back of the net and drive forward with that competitive edge, we'll get the best out of JARROD BOWEN again. And last but not least, Mickey Antonio. He had 25 touches, not a lot, very similar to the amount of touches he had against Tottenham, but he played a more progressive style, and you can actually see the difference here. He is in the final third, or maybe you could say he's in the third quarter of the pitch, and he should be several times up in the final quarter, which is where I think Scamacca and potentially Cornet would play. 43% pass completion. He didn't win many of his ground duels, 3 from 15, but he did win 100% of his aerial duels. So there are parts of the game that I think we can do really well at. If we had maybe set up a little bit similar to the way we did against Tottenham, maybe things wouldn't have happened. There are positives to take from this, but the partnership between Kira and the partnership between Zuma is very, very good. I think a lapse in concentration with the substitute that came on is what caused the second goal. A lapse in concentration from someone who's maybe lacking a bit of pace in Sufal is what caused the first goal as well. I don't personally blame. It's tough. You don't want to put the blame on individual players, but that is a collision course coming to happen. And I think that if we have someone with a bit more pace, maybe that wouldn't have happened. Communication, but we've got new players. They're going to have time to settle in. And I think that will come to play as we move forward for the Newcastle game. But players I'm excited about, Paqueta, Cornet, I think they can be game changers, and I think they really could progress West Ham as well. Looking forward to seeing Scamacca back, and I think if you add all those little pieces to this current jigsaw that we're working around, we'll get the best out of the players that we possibly can. Anyway, that brings an end to today's analysis show. We'll be back soon when the next game gets played, give you a little bit more analysis on that. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, of course, as well. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, hit the membership button. If you've enjoyed it, let me know. If you've not and you think I'm talking bull, let me know. Why not? It's your show as well. Take it easy, stay safe, and of course, come on your irons.
It's like a family tree, part of you.